Richard Sorge, born in 1895 in Baku within the Russian Empire, began his life far from the world of espionage that would later define him. A German national with socialist leanings, Sorge had initially engaged in political activism and journalism, cultivating a network of contacts across Europe. By the late 1920s, his abilities and ideological alignment caught the attention of Soviet intelligence, and he was recruited as a spy for the GRU, the Soviet Military Intelligence Service. Unlike conventional agents, Sorge's role was not limited to gathering minor intelligence. He was tasked with infiltrating critical political and military circles, ultimately stationed in Japan with the goal of monitoring German and Japanese strategies. Relocating to Tokyo in the mid-1930s, Sorge embedded himself as a respected journalist with German newspapers, cultivating credibility both within German expatriate communities and with Japanese officials. His position provided him unique access to diplomatic gatherings, social circles, and key policy discussions that were normally closed to foreigners. Sorge's careful cultivation of trust allowed him to gather intelligence that went beyond routine reporting. Through meticulous observation and discreet questioning, he obtained insights into military plans, strategic alliances, and policy decisions of both Germany and Japan. The intelligence he sent to Moscow was not merely informational, it was strategically consequential, providing the Soviet Union with actionable knowledge regarding troop movements, potential invasions, and the geopolitical intentions of two major Axis powers. His work was carried out under extreme risk. Japan's secret police, the Kempeitai, closely monitored foreigners, and any hint of duplicity could lead to immediate arrest or execution. Sorge developed intricate methods to communicate with Soviet handlers, including coded messages embedded in press reports, dead drops, and clandestine meetings. These communications were precise, timed, and carefully constructed to avoid detection, reflecting both technical ingenuity and an acute understanding of the high stakes involved. While living a seemingly normal life as a journalist, Sorge's personal relationships also served operational purposes. He befriended influential Japanese officials and German diplomats, gaining direct insight into policy debates and military intentions. Every conversation, every social engagement was an opportunity to extract intelligence that could shape the Soviet Union's strategic decisions. His careful balance of trust, discretion, and analytical skill made him a rare asset, an agent whose personal credibility and access translated directly into actionable knowledge for Moscow. Sorge's early operations in Japan, spanning the late 1930s into the early 1940s, established him as one of the most effective spies of the era. He was not only gathering information, he was influencing the perception and preparedness of his own government by providing data that would impact wartime strategy, potentially altering the course of conflicts before they began. Through these early years, Sorge demonstrated a combination of courage, intellectual rigor, and strategic foresight that would define his legacy and mark him as one of the most consequential intelligence figures of the 20th century. By the early 1940s, Richard Sorge had firmly established himself as an indispensable asset to Soviet intelligence in Tokyo. His journalistic cover provided him unprecedented access to the inner workings of both German and Japanese diplomatic circles, allowing him to attend meetings, social events, and informal gatherings where sensitive discussions occurred. Sorge's ability to listen, analyze, and remember details with precision transformed casual conversations into intelligence of critical strategic value. Perhaps his most important contribution during this period was the intelligence he provided regarding Germany's intentions toward the Soviet Union. Through subtle questioning, observation of diplomatic correspondence, and careful reporting, Sorge was able to confirm that Hitler planned to invade the Soviet Union in 1941, a revelation that would allow Moscow to prepare for Operation Barbarossa. Beyond German intentions, Sorge meticulously monitored Japanese strategy,
providing Moscow with detailed insights into Japan's political calculations, military deployments, and the timing of potential attacks in Asia. His analysis suggested that Japan was unlikely to attack the Soviet Union in the near term, allowing the Red Army to allocate resources strategically and focus defenses on the German threat. This dual insight, the advance warning of the German invasion and confirmation of Japan's temporary non-aggression, was among the most consequential pieces of intelligence in the entire Second World War. Sorge's communication with Moscow was conducted with meticulous care. He employed sophisticated methods of encryption, dead drops, and intermediaries to ensure that each report arrived securely and intact. The precision and reliability of his information quickly earned him the trust of the GRU, and his intelligence was treated as highly actionable, influencing high-level decisions regarding troop movements, defensive preparations, and strategic planning across the Soviet Union. His personal life in Tokyo remained outwardly normal. He maintained a respected presence in German social circles and cultivated friendships with Japanese officials, all while operating under the constant threat of detection. Any misstep, suspicion from a German diplomat, a chance observation by the Kempeitai, or an intercepted message could result in arrest and execution. Nevertheless, Sorge's discipline, charm, and acute understanding of human behavior allowed him to navigate these dangers successfully for several years. The intelligence he provided not only had immediate operational implications, but also a profound strategic impact. By forewarning Moscow of the German invasion, Sorge enabled the Soviet leadership to reinforce critical positions, deploy reserves more effectively, and prepare the nation for one of the largest military confrontations in human history. Additionally, his reports on Japanese intentions allowed the USSR to allocate forces judiciously in the Far East, ensuring that the nation's defensive posture was optimized on multiple fronts. Sorge's work exemplified the rare combination of analytical acumen, personal courage, and operational sophistication that defines the most successful spies in history. Every report he sent, every observation he recorded, contributed to the survival and strategic advantage of the Soviet Union during a period when a single intelligence failure could have catastrophic consequences. By the early 1940s, Richard Sorge was not merely a journalist or political operative. He had become a pivotal figure in the intelligence war that would determine the fate of nations. As 1941 progressed, Richard Sorge's espionage network in Tokyo expanded in both sophistication and reach. He had cultivated a small but trusted circle of contacts, including Japanese communists and sympathetic insiders within German diplomatic circles, each carefully vetted and controlled to minimize exposure. Through this network, Sorge was able to collect a steady stream of intelligence that went beyond high-level strategic intentions, delving into operational details such as troop deployments, naval maneuvers, and logistical plans. The accuracy and specificity of these reports were extraordinary, providing Moscow with data that could be directly applied to military planning. One of Sorge's most significant achievements during this period was his confirmation that Germany would launch Operation Barbarossa in June 1941. This intelligence was critical. The Soviet leadership, already wary of potential threats from the West, needed reliable confirmation to justify the redeployment of troops, fortification of key regions, and preparation of defensive strategies. Sorge's report was detailed, precise, and corroborated by multiple sources, lending it a credibility that elevated it above mere rumor or speculation. Equally important was Sorge's intelligence on Japan. While Germany's plans demanded immediate attention, the threat from the East remained a constant concern. Sorge's careful observation, combined with his network of contacts, provided clear evidence that Japan was not planning an immediate attack against the Soviet Union. This insight allowed Stalin to reallocate forces from Siberia to the Western Front, strengthening defenses against the imminent German assault and ultimately altering the course of the Eastern Front. Sorge's methods were both ingenious and meticulously executed. He transmitted information using a combination of coded radio messages, dead drops, and personal meetings with intermediaries, all designed to prevent detection by Japanese authorities or German counterintelligence. Each step was calculated, taking into account the extreme surveillance and paranoia that characterized the wartime intelligence environment. Despite the constant danger, Sorge maintained a calm, professional demeanor in public. His position as a journalist and diplomat gave him plausible access to the information he required, while his interpersonal skills allowed him to navigate social situations without arousing suspicion. This duality, outward normalcy coupled with secret subversion, was central to his effectiveness and survival. The impact of Sorge's work extended beyond immediate strategic military strategy. His intelligence allowed the Soviet Union to anticipate German movements, prepare defenses, and maintain strategic flexibility that would prove decisive in the early months of the invasion. Moreover, by understanding Japanese intentions, Moscow could confidently concentrate forces where they were most needed, mitigating the risk of a two-front war that could have overwhelmed Soviet defenses. In essence, Sorge's espionage provided the Soviet Union with a rare and invaluable advantage: actionable insight into enemy plans at a moment when information could determine the fate of millions. The combination of technical skill, strategic insight, and personal courage made Richard Sorge one of the most remarkable and consequential spies of the Second World War, a figure whose intelligence operations directly shaped the course of history.
By mid-1941, Richard Sorge's espionage activities had reached a level of unprecedented importance. His reports were no longer simply informative. They had become vital to Soviet strategic decision-making. Moscow was fully aware of the reliability and depth of the intelligence Sorge provided, particularly regarding Germany's impending invasion. The confirmation of Operation Barbarossa allowed Stalin and the Soviet High Command to implement defensive measures, reorganize troop deployments, and fortify critical positions in the western regions of the USSR. Sorge's intelligence effectively bought the Soviet Union precious time, a commodity that would prove crucial in the early stages of the German offensive. Sorge's network also provided insight into Japanese strategic intentions. While the United States and the Soviet Union were focused on different theaters of conflict, Sorge's confirmation that Japan would not attack the USSR in the immediate future allowed the Soviets to concentrate their forces where they were most needed. This allocation of military resources was a direct consequence of Sorge's precise, actionable reporting. His methods of communication were both sophisticated and extraordinarily disciplined. Sorge utilized coded radio transmissions, encrypted letters, and meticulously timed dead drops to transfer information to his Soviet handlers. Each action was carefully planned to minimize risk of detection, and Sorge himself maintained a persona of absolute normalcy to avoid raising suspicions. His success lay not only in the intelligence he gathered, but also in his ability to manipulate perceptions, both of his German peers and Japanese officials, so that he appeared to be a loyal professional journalist rather than a covert agent influencing the outcome of global conflict. The pressure on Sorge was immense. Every interaction carried the potential for discovery. Any misstep could have resulted in immediate arrest, torture, or execution. Yet he continued to operate with a remarkable level of composure and strategic foresight. His personal discipline, combined with his understanding of human psychology, allowed him to navigate a dangerous and constantly surveilled environment. The tangible impact of Sorge's intelligence on Soviet war planning cannot be overstated.
By providing accurate information on both Germany and Japan, he directly influenced decisions that would affect troop movements, defensive strategies, and the allocation of resources on multiple fronts. This intelligence proved critical during the initial phases of Operation Barbarossa, enabling Soviet forces to mount defenses that, while not entirely preventing losses, significantly blunted the effectiveness of the German invasion. Beyond military strategy, Sorge's work exemplifies the broader importance of human intelligence in wartime. While signals intelligence, aerial reconnaissance, and code breaking all played crucial roles, it was Sorge's careful observation, analysis, and covert reporting that provided context, foresight, and actionable detail that no other source could deliver. His contributions highlight the profound influence that a single, dedicated, and highly skilled individual can have on the course of history, particularly in situations where timing, accuracy, and strategic insight are critical. By mid-1941, Richard Sorge had established himself as one of the most effective and consequential spies of the Second World War, operating in the heart of an enemy nation with results that would shape the trajectory of the conflict for years to come.
In the later months of 1941, Richard Sorge's espionage efforts became even more crucial as the scale and intensity of the war increased. German forces launched Operation Barbarossa in June, and the Soviet Union faced the immense challenge of defending against a coordinated invasion on multiple fronts. Sorge's intelligence had given the Soviets early warning, allowing them to reinforce key positions and prepare logistical support in ways that directly mitigated the impact of the German advance. Beyond merely providing warnings, Sorge's network in Tokyo continued to deliver detailed reports on Japanese military planning, political negotiations, and diplomatic strategies. This intelligence enabled Moscow to make informed decisions regarding the Far Eastern Front, ensuring that critical divisions could be redeployed without leaving the Soviet Union vulnerable to Japanese aggression. Sorge's methods remained extraordinarily disciplined. Each transmission of information was carefully encrypted, timed with precision, and relayed through intermediaries who had been thoroughly vetted. He avoided drawing attention, maintaining a perfectly normal public persona as a journalist while managing a complex, high-risk intelligence operation behind the scenes. The effectiveness of his espionage was not limited to tactical military outcomes. It also had significant strategic implications. Soviet leaders could make decisions with a level of confidence and foresight that would have been impossible without Sorge's contributions. His intelligence allowed for the efficient allocation of resources, targeted reinforcement of vulnerable positions, and proactive measures to counter enemy initiatives. Within Tokyo, Sorge continued to cultivate relationships that provided cover and access. German diplomats, military attachés, and Japanese officials treated him as a trusted, reliable correspondent. This perception allowed him to gather information that would otherwise have been inaccessible to a foreign agent. His ability to navigate these social and professional networks with subtlety and intelligence was a key factor in his long-term operational success. The personal risk was immense. Every meeting, every communication, and every observation carried the potential for exposure. Japanese and German counterintelligence agencies were vigilant, and the consequences of detection were severe. Nevertheless, Sorge's meticulous planning, deep understanding of human behavior, and ability to remain calm under pressure allowed him to continue operations effectively. The cumulative impact of his intelligence by the end of 1941 was extraordinary. The Soviet Union had gained precise knowledge of enemy intentions, enabling better preparation, strategic flexibility, and ultimately the capacity to resist the initial onslaught of German forces. Sorge's work exemplified the unique power of human intelligence.
Through careful observation, disciplined methodology, and unwavering courage, a single individual could influence the trajectory of global conflict. As the year progressed, Sorge's status within Soviet intelligence became increasingly significant, though the world at large remained unaware of the extraordinary feats being accomplished in the heart of Tokyo. His reports were not simply records of events, they were instruments of survival, shaping decisions that would save countless lives and alter the course of history in one of the most perilous periods of the 20th century.
By late 1941 and into 1942, the risks surrounding Richard Sorge intensified. Japanese counterintelligence had begun to notice irregularities, suspicious behavior, and anomalies in diplomatic communications. Sorge's meticulous operational security had kept him hidden for years, but the growing attention of the Kempeitai and the tightening of surveillance networks in Tokyo meant that the margin for error had become razor-thin. Despite these pressures, Sorge continued his work with remarkable composure. He transmitted intelligence with precision, updated the Soviets on German military developments, and provided unparalleled insight into Japanese intentions. Each report he sent reinforced his reputation in Moscow as one of the most valuable human intelligence assets in the world. However, in October 1941, Japanese authorities made their move. Sorge was arrested in a calculated operation designed to prevent any leaks while gathering irrefutable evidence of espionage. During interrogation, Sorge remained calm and defiant, providing little information about his network and refusing to compromise others. The KGB and GRU would later recognize that his operational discipline had minimized the damage that could have arisen from his capture. Sorge's imprisonment was harsh. He was held in solitary confinement under severe conditions, subject to psychological and physical pressures intended to force confessions and expose collaborators. Despite this, Sorge maintained his silence regarding the Soviet intelligence network and continued to protect the information he had so painstakingly collected. Eventually, Sorge was tried by a Japanese military tribunal. Found guilty of espionage and undermining national security, he was sentenced to death. On November 7, 1944, Richard Sorge was executed, his contributions to Soviet intelligence largely unknown to the wider world at the time. Yet the impact of his espionage endured. The intelligence he provided regarding Operation Barbarossa allowed the Soviet Union to prepare for the German invasion, reinforcing key positions and allocating resources that saved countless lives. His insights into Japanese strategic intentions enabled Moscow to focus on the Western Front without fear of an immediate Eastern threat. For historians and intelligence analysts, Sorge's case remains a masterclass in espionage, how a single, highly skilled and disciplined individual can influence the trajectory of world events through meticulous observation, strategic insight, and unwavering courage. Declassified documents and post-war analyses have since confirmed the significance of his work, revealing the depth and precision of the intelligence that flowed from Tokyo to Moscow. Richard Sorge's legacy serves as both a cautionary tale and an extraordinary example of human intelligence at its most effective. His ability to operate within enemy territory, gather actionable intelligence, and influence the course of global conflict underscores the profound impact one individual can have on history, even when the world remains unaware of their deeds until decades later. The story of Sorge is a testament to the intricate, perilous, and transformative nature of espionage in the 20th century, illustrating the vital role of courage, intellect, and meticulous planning in shaping the outcomes of war.